To anyone feeling like they are failing 2024 already, you aren't. You are just failing the expectations that you've set for yourself. It's a new year, you've set new goals for yourself, you've probably watched multiple videos on how to make 2024 your best year, and you're ready to get on self-improvement. And on New Year's Day, you're probably really hyped to get going and finally start doing the things that you know you should be doing. But then as a couple of days pass, the habits start slipping. You don't meditate one day, you don't go to the gym one day, and you completely give up and just revert back to the old you with your old habits. It does not have to be this way. You can get consistent with the habits that you're trying to build, get closer to your goals, but you have to do it in a sustainable way. Especially because one, you're most likely trying to make a huge change in a very small amount of time. And two, you expect yourself to be able to make that change and not make any mistakes. When you start a big journey, you have to start small and progressively overload over time. You have to build up the consistency and the discipline so that you can actually become more intense and frequent with working towards the goals you are trying to achieve over time. But always in the beginning of any journey, it's going to be the most difficult. You are going to be the least used to it. It's not a habit yet. You're not going to be consistent with it. You are going to make mistakes. So for right now, you need a sustainable plan to actually get yourself on track and to be able to then become more intense and frequent. Because I know that you want to get to a point where you are doing things well, where you're going to the gym super consistently, you're hitting big workouts and going really intense. You want to start meditating or journaling consistently, and you want to get up to 10-20 minute meditations. If you ever want to get to the point where you're actually doing those things, you need to slowly build up and have a sustainable plan to actually stick with these things in the very beginning where it's the most difficult. Which is why in this video, I'm going to be giving you a strategy to create long-term habits for the new year and to not fall back into old habits. And stick around to the end where I talk about the thing that is the most important for actually being able to achieve your New Year's resolutions and your goals and stick to your habits, but it's also the thing that most people don't want to hear and most people don't want to talk about. Step 1, specify your goals. The first mistake that people make when they're setting New Year's resolutions, when they're setting goals, is that they don't make it specific enough. Maybe even before New Year started, you didn't set yourself up for success. There are so many people that set goals like, I want to get fit, I want to get better grades, and those are not specific enough. You aren't going to take action on it because there's no plan. If you have a goal that says, I want to get better grades, how are you going to do it? You have no idea. It's not a bad thing to want to get better grades. It's not a bad goal. It's just not specific enough. There's no time, there's no location, so you're not really going to have a plan to take action on this goal. It's way too general and ambiguous. You're probably not going to end up doing anything with that goal even though you want to. If you just want to get better grades and your goal is, I want to get better grades, it doesn't answer the questions on how you're going to study, when you are going to study, when you're going to do your homework, how much you are going to study, the specific studying plans and strategies that you are going to use. It doesn't give you any of this. In the book Atomic Habits by James Clear, he uses a method for making goals more specific where you give a goal a time, a location, and the behavior. So if you want to study more, if you want to get better grades, then your goal should probably be, I'm going to study Spanish and history, which is the behavior, studying Spanish or history, at 6 p.m. every other night, which is the time, in my bedroom, which is location, for 60 minutes, which is also something you can add, which is duration. That is much more specific and more actionable than I want to study more, I want to get better grades. Go through the goals that you have, the things that you want to do, and make them much more specific so that you actually have a plan to go and do that thing. Once you know what you're doing at a certain time or place, you are much more likely to take action on whatever it is you are trying to do. Step 2. Track your habits and create reminders. Something that can help you do this to make habits more obvious, and something that I started to do a couple months ago, is using a habit tracker. If you use a habit tracker, it is super helpful to see your progress on certain habits, because then you know if you're doing well, if you are doing bad, if something needs to change. For example, for me, I wanted to start reading much more than I have been. For the past couple of months, I've been tracking this habit, and I realized I am not reading nearly enough. I'm not reaching the amount that I want to. And so this new year, I made sure to read basically every morning. It hasn't been 100% consistent, but I've gotten so much better with reading just because I noticed that I was being very inconsistent after tracking for a couple months, and I knew something had to change. You can create a habit tracker on Google Sheets, on Notion, on Canva, whatever you want to use. I have my habit tracker up on my wall over there, so I see it all the time. So when you print out your habit tracker, put it in a place you're going to see it. It's going to be a constant reminder of the things you are trying to do and the changes you are trying to make. Something else that you should do, a small actionable step, is to write down all your goals. Well, you probably have your goals written down already, but to look over your goals and to think, how do I make this more obvious? If you want to read more, put a book out in a place where you can see it all the time. If you want to stretch more, put out a stretching mat on your floor so that you're constantly reminded that you want to start stretching. You can also stack these habits together. So once you do one habit, you do another habit and then another habit, and it becomes this habit stack that allows you to get a lot more done. Find ways to constantly remind yourself of the habits that you're trying to build and the changes that you're trying to make so that you trigger these habits more often. Step 3. Consider the half wins. The key to consistency is considering the half wins, because when you don't, it's either a win or a loss. With most habits, it's you do it or you don't. With most goals, it's you achieve it or you don't. There is no in between, there is no half win. But when you start applying this idea to all of your goals and habits, you have the chance to not have a day be a complete fail. For example, if you had the goal of going to the gym 5 times a week, but one of those days you just don't go to the gym. You stay at home, you're feeling lazy, and instead of moping and thinking, oh, it's over for me, I didn't go to the gym today, I failed my resolution, you still have the option to do a bodyweight workout, or maybe even 10, 20 push-ups. You can use that as the substitute for the big thing. The big thing that you're trying to do is go to the gym, hit a good workout. But if you don't do that, you have the substitute, the half win, where you don't completely fail, because even though you didn't do the full thing, you still did a little bit. Even though you didn't go to the gym, you still hit 10 push-ups, right? 10 push-ups is still a win. So many people have this, if I don't do it, I'm a failure mindset, this win or loss scenario. But if you consider half wins, then there's not really a win or loss scenario. But half wins are a much more sustainable way of thinking, because it's much harder to lose when it's way easier to win. Big changes take time. And if you have resolutions and goals, I know you want to change, but things are not going to change instantly, and you can't expect that out of yourself. You have to start out small. You have to take baby steps at first. And this is coming from a guy who is pretty extreme, who expects a lot out of himself. I have high standards for myself, and I know you probably do too, but you shouldn't right now. You haven't built up the discipline and the consistency to increase your intensity and expect yourself to be able to do it every single day. Even me right now, I don't read every single day. It's been my New Year's resolution. It's been the thing that I've been trying to do, and I've been doing it so much more consistently than I have been for the past 3 months. I've probably read more in the beginning of this month than I have in the past 3 months. But even though I haven't done it every single day, I don't think I'm a failure. I think I'm making good progress. And if you just think about it, half wins are still wins. It helps you be more consistent with just doing something, taking action, because that's all you're trying to do. You're trying to take action for a specific amount of time until the thing becomes a habit. Going back to that same example, if you didn't go to the gym, but you still hit 10 push-ups, 10 push-ups is still exercise. 10 push-ups can be still considered a win. There's nothing wrong with thinking like that, because it's true. You are being too harsh on yourself and thinking that you can just instantly make change when that's not realistic. This is a problem that I've dealt with, and I still dealt with sometimes today. It's this idea that you should be able to instantly change and do better. Just because you want to make change, just because you feel like you should, doesn't mean that it should happen instantly. I used to beat myself up. I used to say, I'm a failure. What am I doing? Why can't I not be better than this? Because I wasn't consistent with one thing, because I was failing nofap. I kept saying to myself, man, I'm a failure. So what? I'm a failure. That's what's gonna help me grow. That's what's gonna get me to the point where I'm ultra consistent. There's always going to be a period of time where you're going to make mistakes. So count the half wins. Do the half wins so that every single day you are getting a little bit closer to that goal. Every single day you are taking a little bit of action, even if it's not as much as you want it to be. Any action is still action, and any action is progress. Step 4. One lost battle does not lose the war. This concept, this mindset is very closely tied to what I was talking about before. Because inevitably there are going to be some days where you don't do anything, where you don't even get a half win, where you don't do the 10 push-ups, you're laying in your bed at night, you're waking up the next morning, you think, damn, yesterday I didn't even go to the gym, I didn't hit one push-up, I just ate ice cream all day and watched Netflix. Does this mean that you should shrivel up and call yourself a failure? No. Should you completely give up and just eat more ice cream and watch more Netflix because you already failed your goal? No, obviously not. But this is the common reaction to when you make one mistake, one little mistake, and you just think, oh, everything is over. I should just give up. I'm a failure. It's good that you want and are willing to make change and actually care. That is an amazing thing in and of itself. You cannot expect yourself to make change instantly, and you cannot expect yourself to be perfect, because no one is perfect. I'm not perfect. I don't do every habit every day. I make mistakes. Sometimes I don't read, even though I set out to do it, even though I wanted to. And you know what else I don't do? I don't just give up. I don't just say, oh, everything is over. I didn't do it this one day, so I think I'm a failure now. Everything is over. The world is ending. Do you realize how destructive that is? I thought that this concept only really applied to nofap, but it applies to everything, every habit you are trying to build, everything that involves this mindset of, I need to have a streak. I need to keep going every single day or else it's over. My progress is gone. For the guys that are on nofap, so many of them have this mindset that they need to have the streak. If their streak fails, if they make one mistake, if they relapse one day, everything's over. They're back to day 0. And what that also means to them is they should just relapse 5 times more. They should just give in. That doesn't make any sense. And only the tiniest 0.01% of people might be able to do that, to get a streak and never fap again. And so let's apply this to habits. When you set a goal to do something every day or whatever, every week, and one time you just don't do it, that doesn't mean that your progress has gone and that everything is over. That doesn't mean that you should give up and indulge more in bad habits. All it is a mistake. And what can you do about it? You have to try to do better the next day. You have to rebound and pick yourself up. You can't just give in to more instant gratification, because that will push you down. That will make it even harder for you to get back to the things that you're trying to do. One of my friends says he has this exact problem. He tries to do better. He'll start meditating. He'll start doing good habits. He'll be doing really good. But then after a couple days, he watches Netflix and plays video games all day. And then what he thinks is, oh, it's over. It's over. I should just give up. And if he would understand that one mistake doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, imagine if one day out of the entire year you didn't read. Does it matter? No. All the other days outweigh that one day. It's about winning more than you lose. It's not about winning every battle, because one lost battle doesn't lose the war. But that's what my friend thinks. He thinks that when he loses one time, everything's over. He's made no progress, he should just give up. This is not a sustainable way to measure your progress. Don't let one mistake be an excuse for you to spiral and start doing all the bad habits again. And remember, one lost battle does not lose the war. You need to pick yourself up the next day and keep fighting, because if you just keep doing that and refuse to give up, you will eventually see that you have won the war. You will eventually see that every single day is almost always a win. Step 5, you need to want it bad enough. This is the thing that everyone doesn't want to hear. Everyone doesn't want to talk about the fact that at the end of the day, this whole strategy that I'm giving you, the whole strategies that other people are giving you to make 2024 your best year, those mean absolutely nothing if you don't want it bad enough. If you don't have that fire lit inside of you that ignites you and makes you just want to keep going. Even if it sucks, even if you're suffering, even if you're fat and you're trying to lose weight, even if you can't even focus on the book for 30 seconds, you just keep trying and keep going. You want it so badly that nothing can stop you. Because if you want something bad enough, you're going to get it. Imagine 2 people and they both want the same exact thing, but one person wants it more. Who's going to achieve the thing? Who's going to get the thing? The person that wants it more. You know what needs to be done. You have resolutions, you have goals, you have a plan, but you will never achieve those goals. You will never execute on the plan if you don't want it bad enough. If you just set them because, oh, it's a new year, I'm just trying, a new year, new me, you aren't going to achieve them. You have to have that burning desire inside of you, and something has to ignite that, or else you are never going to achieve these things. For a long time in the very beginning, like I said before, this is the period of suck. This is the period where things aren't really that good, you're not consistent, it's hard for you to do the habits. This is the period you need to stick it out and just want to get to that stage where you are doing better. Because the moments where you're trying to change, where you're still addicted to the bad habits and want to get into new ones, that is the hardest. So the hardest part is when you're at your weakest. But that just means you have to push through and do it. You have to do the things that you're trying to do no matter how you feel, no matter if you're angry or sad or mad that day. If you have that burning desire to improve, to do what it takes to achieve the things that you want to achieve, you are going to achieve those things. You won't need the next strategy, the next video. You won't need the motivation, because you're going to do it anyways. Without any of those things, you are just going to do it. There is no magic pill. There's no plan or strategy that's going to save you. Nothing is going to get you past this first stage of suck other than just doing it. If you want to get past this stage of suck, you have to be willing to do what it takes. There are things that can make it a little bit easier this first stage where you're trying to improve your life. There are things that can make it a little bit faster, but nothing is going to get you through it other than the overwhelming desire to improve and do better. You have to want to achieve your goals bad enough, and if you want it bad enough, it will happen. You will achieve your goals and you will change your life. So there you go. That is my guide to sticking to goals, especially in the new year when you have this motivation and the certain potholes that people fall into and the mindsets that don't serve you. If you found this video helpful, please like the video. It helps me out a lot. It pushes out to more people who need it. And also, if you like this content, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be posting 2 videos a week from now on. I'm making that commitment to you guys. Love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. And never stop improving, because you're going to be grateful for it later.